Hello, my name's Craig Simmons. I'm from Best Foot Forward, part of the Anthesis Consulting Group. I'd just like to give you a brief introduction to the Cool Farm tool. Now, we developed the Cool Farm tool on behalf of the Cool Farm Institute. The tool was originally developed as an Excel spreadsheet by Unilever and researchers at the University of Aberdeen to help growers measure and understand on-farm greenhouse gas emissions. The Cool Farm tool, the online version, is freely available for growers to help them measure the carbon footprint of crop and livestock products. So this is the introductory screen to the Cool Farm tool, and you can sign in from here, and I already have an account, but if you don't have an account you can register and you'll get email details of how to sign in and information about passwords, etc. And registration. You fill in a few simple questions to get online your farm settings or view the products you've already footprinted. So I'd just like to give you a brief example here and add a crop product. So I'm going to use dry beans as an example. So here we have the first general information crop page, and you can see along the top here there's a navigation bar which shows you the different stages of data entry for your crop or livestock product. And on the right hand side here you see a live results panel which you'll see changing as we go through the footprinting exercise, and it updates you on the information about your product and about its footprint, telling you where the emission impacts are. So let's just start by entering the information about the crop product. In this case we'll do dry beans. It suggests a name for you automatically. You can put in the year of the actual data set you're going to enter, but also you can see there's I buttons here and you can hover over those and it gives you information about the screen and the data that the Cool Farm tool is expecting, and some helpful hints and tips as we go through. So if I say, you can enter the name, you can change it to whatever you want. My new bean 2014. We'll put in information about the fresh and finished product weight. You can see here they're the same. Put in 6. And then and if you have any co-products, in this case we don't, for example straw or juice, you can actually sort of click on here and enter information about co-products. And you'll see here there's various occasions where there's additional information that is optional that you may or may not wish to enter, and this is you'll see these boxes here where you hover over them, you can click on it, and an extra piece of information dialog will open up for you to enter information about your particular product. You can also throughout the tool enter comments about your footprint, and these are stored along with the footprint for later reference. So I've just entered some basic information about the crop, the type of crop it is, and you can see there's lots of options I could have selected from. I'm just selecting dry beans in this instant, and the year, and some basic information about the product, finished weight, fresh and finished weight. Click Save and Continue, and now we're entering information about the growing area. So if you've already entered information about the crop area, your field size, the soil texture, organic matter, you can just simply select from previously entered data. So in this case I'm just going to select some information I've added previously about the field, its crop area, but you can enter and overwrite any of this information, and then you can give the name of the field a new name. So here you can add your own label for future reference to select within the template. You can add again other comments here about the field, anything relevant or indeed irrelevant that you might want to add. Save and continue that, and you'll see here on the right hand side the information about your footprint starting to appear. Information about the total emissions, about the emissions per hectare, about the emissions per ton, and again you can start to see the sources of these emissions as this pie charts are built up. But of course we haven't entered a huge amount of data yet, so we need to enter obviously information about our fertilizers. And so again you can select from different types of fertilizers. Let's just select urea ammonium nitrate. Again it asks you some various questions about your fertilizer. Again these only need to be entered once, because once you've entered them, information about the broadcast method, the application rate, then you no longer, the second time you can just select them from your template, and then that will be stored along with your account for future reference. So let's just add another fertilizer. You see I can add another one here. I think this one we'll just select from a template one we've used before. Add from template. You see, let's just remove that one. So you see we have now two fertilizers. If you want to change anything as you go through, you can do, but we've added information about 2 fertilizers, and again we could indeed add a third if we wished. So let's look at pesticide applications here. So seed treatment, put in the number of doses, and again if you have more than one pesticide application, you can add a second or third or fourth. Let's look at some crop residue here. So let's put in some information here about the crop residue and what we do with it. So this is let's say 190 kilograms per acre, and that dry bean residue, it's left on, let's say it's left on the field. And again, there's various options for residue crop management, and again, helpful information is contained under the I button here. Again, we can put some comments here to help you or others in the future interpret the data. So let's save that and continue. You'll see here we're starting to get a more comprehensive picture of the footprint. So here we've got a pie chart showing us a lot of the information's in the soil and fertilizers. Some of it's in the residue management, and also some of it there's in the pesticides. So we're starting to get an idea about where the impacts from our crops are, and here we have the emissions here per ton for that crop. And this is, we're going on to land management. So if there's been any land management changes, for example, land's been converted to or from arable land, again we click on the box. You can put information here about the change in land use, any changes in tillage practices, or indeed any changes in crop cover. So we haven't had any changes here in the last 20 years, but if you have, you can enter the information here, and again it will be reflected in the footprint. Let's just save and continue. So this is energy. Next it's about energy and processing, so energy use on a farm. So you can put in information about the different sources of energy you might have used, and say diesel here. We've used 1,215 litres in this case. And you can look at the category you want to put it on, if you used it on the field or if you used it for facility processing. So let's just stick on the field. And indeed we can add in field operations. So if we don't have specific information about overall diesel use, you can estimate it from different field operations. So here we have a number of different options, from tillage, spraying, harvesting, and you can select different operations, field operations, and say what the fuel was and how many times you did it. So let's say tillage from well, we won't have anything in this example, but let's just for argument's sake say that we were doing spraying or spreading, fertilizer spraying, fuel we used was diesel, how many operations. So based on the size of the field, your growing area, will estimate the fuel use if you don't have the absolute total amount of diesel, in which case here we do, but let's assume we don't, and it will estimate the amount of diesel use there and add that to the total. So you can see here on the pie chart, you see there's a little slice now for energy and processing, which has appeared because it's the carbon emissions from the fuel use we've put in here. You can also enter information about irrigation and wastewater. Again, that's not relevant to our crops in this case, but it obviously is for things like potatoes and other crops. So finally we can put in information about transport. So this is inputs into the farm, transported in this case by road. So let's say we've had an HGV, say 50 tons of farm inputs. Let's for argument's sake, it's travelled 100 kilometres, and did add the vehicle weight, yes or no. And then you can again add another transport impact. So we can, if we have more than one type of transport, so we might have rail or road, we can add that in information here and build up a comprehensive picture of all the transport related impacts of the crop we're referring to, in this case the dry beans. So again we save and continue. You can see here we've had a small slice added to the pie relating to transport, not a huge amount of transport in this case, and not a huge impact. Most of our impact still from the soil and fertilizers. Save and continue. And so here we have the summary of the footprint. You can go and edit any of those data you've previously entered, and indeed you have the footprint here summary. And if you want to see more detail, you can click on the see all results, and it gives you a more detailed breakdown of your footprint. The summary data is on this live results page, but if you'd like to, you can get some more detailed breakdown. So you can see the information here, the total emissions broken down by different types of greenhouse gases, and again by the different categories. You can see again immediately here the soil and fertilizer is the biggest impact, but again it's broken down here into, so you can see differences between fertilizer production and soil and fertilizer and energy use on the field, so you can see all the breakdown of the information. If we had co-products, you could look at the information there, field management emissions, so looking again at fertilizer application and production. And if we had rice, you can put paddy methane here, pesticide and residue management. So again, to get a little breakdown of field management emissions and machinery operations. So again, we just had that fertilizer spraying we put in there at the end. And you can look at transport. Again, quite simple in this example, but if you had multiple transport modes or indeed lots of different machinery, you'd see a more comprehensive picture. So in most cases, this total emissions graph is sufficient for the sort of level of breakdown. And on the top here we have the summary data again from the top level results, showing you the footprint of your crop, the amount of fresh product and the yields, and also the impact per kilogram and per hectare. So that's a very quick roundup of the Cool Farm tool. So thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions, I'll be very happy to answer them. Thank you.